Championship. Behind de Villiers, only 2 points separated teammate Duncan Voss and Sasol BMW factory driver Sean van der Linde. Weather conditions for the qualifying sessions on the day before the Nashua Challenge meeting were also warm and overcast. And with a mini championship within a championship for the privateers entries, it was once again Marco dos Santos and the Duckham's Midas Nissan Sentra who ruled the roost. The time set by dos Santos was good enough to give him a position on the third row of the grid and was inside the lap record held by Janil de Villiers. The first 8 cars in the first qualifying session were all under the lap record, with 1994 champion Sean van der Linde setting the 4th fastest time in a Sasol BMW that was carrying an extra weight penalty after his win last time out at AA Kyalami. One of the more significant aspects of the opening qualifying session was a return to form by Chris Aberdeen and the Rothmans Audi team. Aberdeen set the 3rd fastest time and was just 0.4 of a second slower than Duncan Voss and the BP Nissan Primera, who had one eye focused on his championship battle with van der Linde. The other significant aspect of the session was that by taking his 7th pole position of the year, de Villiers secured the single bonus point that gives him the 1997 championship.
Quite a funny way to win a championship, but I'm very happy to have won the championship. It's been one of my highlights of my motor racing career, winning the touring car championship. I must just thank the whole of the Nissan team for the effort this year. It was a very hard effort from their part, and to all our sponsors, BP, for hanging in there for the last couple of years. It's been absolutely wonderful, and to win it this year is just it's all for the whole team and everybody, because without them you couldn't win it, and it's been a very nice year for me.
Ominous-looking rain clouds over AA Kyalami when the second qualifying session got underway. The rain mercifully stayed away, and there was a solid performance from young Garth Waberski in the DAW WAP Toyota Corolla, who forced his way into the top 10 in a session where times were slightly slower than those in the first qualifier. A big talking point was a stunning performance from Marco dos Santos, who took the Duckham's Midas Nissan Sentra around the Midrand circuit in a time that put him on the second row of the grid this time, and with a few factory noses right out of joint.
First qualifying, I made a bit of a mistake, so I'm a bit further back with the second one. Showed what the car could do. I'm third in the grid. It's Nissan 1, 2 and 3. I think it's the best result we could have got.
The Nissan Cup was overflowing after the second qualifying session. With Marco dos Santos third on the grid, the 2 factory BP Nissan drivers once again came up with the goods and made it an all BP Nissan Primera front row. Once again, it was newly crowned Bankfin Touring Car champion Janil de Villiers who edged out teammate Duncan Voss with broad smiles abounding in the Nissan pits.
Bankfin, the right deal for you.
The grid for round 17 of the Bankfin Championship, with the 2 BP Nissans followed by Aberdeen and van der Linde. Row 3, the second Audi and the dos Santos Nissan Sentra, and on row 4, the Woken Toyota Corolla and the second Sasol Beamer. Hilton Kawi's Castrol Toyota and Waberski's Privateer Toyota complete the top 10, and once again, there's the threat of rain as the drivers wait for the green light from the clock of the course, Steve Harding. Away they go, and it's going to be a tight squeeze through the Pennzoil curves. Race cam action from the Woken Toyota, and they're 4 and 5 abreast going into Pennzoil. A Sasol BMW has forced its way through an impossible gap, and there are wing mirrors flying all over the place. That was van der Linde, who muscled his way past the Santos teammate Briggs and the pair of Audis. Plenty of bumping and boring, but it looks as though there are no first corner casualties as de Villiers leads Voss through Nashua and onto the old pit straight. Aberdeen is third, van der Linde fourth as we go to race cam with Terry Moss, who's fifth in the Rothmans Audi. Sweep is approaching at a rapid rate of knots, and someone has stuck his nose on the inside of the Audi. That's the Santos, and Moss is being forced out wide. Through goes the Santos, and he's taken Walken and Cowie with him, and Terry Moss will be furious. He's gone from 5th to 8th in a second, and we stay on the Audi on the run into the Rothmans S's. This is action all the way, folks. Cowie has slipped to Walken, and Moss has gone through on the inside. There may have been contact there between Terry Moss and Hilton Cowie. In fact, it definitely looked like it. The Audi went wide, and a huge moment there for Cowie. A wake-up call through for Waberski and Besaidno. Cowie did well not to take them both out, but more action up at Wesbank, and Chris Aberdeen has nipped up into second. Aberdeen went through on the inside of Duncan Voss, and as they steam down the Caltex mineshaft, de Villiers now leads from Aberdeen, Voss, van der Linde, and Briggs. What a start to the race. New champion Janil de Villiers leads the pack into the Vodacom Bowl with Duncan Voss putting the pressure right on Chris Aberdeen. Sean van der Linde is also there in the Sassel BMW. Now race cam action is from the DeFos car as they head up the hill towards the AA kink. Down a gear or two as they break with a tricky right then left flick through the kink. The big tractor tyres at the exit that guard against any corner cutting are complemented this time around by rows of straw bales, and heavy contact with those obstacles is likely to be absolutely terminal. Into the left hand at Gestetner, and the two Sassel Beamers are short of just a few wing mirrors there. Sean van der Linde has lost both of them. Mike Briggs has only one left, and there are other cars out there also carrying the scars of early battle. Interesting innovation in this race, with all the cars having to make a compulsory pit stop where they have to change a tyre. Someone is in the pits already. It looked like Hilton Kai, but whether or not that is for a tyre change or something more serious, we'll just have to wait and see. Nashua corner now, and the race leader De Villiers is edging away from Chris Aberdeen, and the Cowie visit to the pits is for his compulsory tyre change early on. That was an early stop for the Castrol Toyota, and the timing of the other teams is going to be interesting. Good news with the sun starting to break through, with Janelle De Villiers still ahead of Chris Aberdeen, and the Audi has pulled a little gap on Duncan Foss, who's being chased hard by the two Sassel BMWs. Marco De Santos is right there in the Duckham's Midas Centre, and he's been a pain in the neck for the factory teams all season long. There's problems for someone, that's Brian Martin, and the AA Kyle Army Sandtraps have claimed yet another victim. Back to the action at the hairpin at the Vodacom Bowl with race order unchanged. Janelle De Villiers leads from Chris Aberdeen, and the Audis are back on form, thank goodness. Then come Duncan Foss in the second Nissan Primera, the two Beamers, and we are riding with Marco De Santos in the Duckham's Nissan Sentra. Into the AA kink, and a problem for Mike Briggs. The Sassel BMW spun out, and Briggs is stranded in the outfield. A big mistake from Briggs is going to cost him dearly. Here he comes back on the circuit, and now that he's done, oh dear, Briggs has been thumped by George Besaidnout. Can you believe that? So then, big trouble for Besaidnout. He looks like he's right out of it from the word go. Briggs has another go at getting back onto the circuit, but only he will know what was going through his mind. And poor old George Besaidnout is right out of it. Besaidnout's Nissan is going nowhere, and Mike Briggs is in line for a roasting from Bankman Clark of the course, Steve Harding. There's no doubt about that. Lap 4 with Janelle De Villiers steadily opening the gap between the BP Nissan Primera and Chris Aberdeen's Rothmans Audi. Duncan Foss is still third in the second Primera, Van der Linde is fourth in the Sassel Beamer, and Marco De Santos is up into fifth after the Briggs rush of blood. Word from race officials is that the compulsory pit stops have to be made between laps 3 and 9, so we can expect cars to start making their stops at any moment from now. The early visit to the pits by Hilton Kai was not a compulsory stop, and he picked up a puncture after his little coming together with teammate Charles Wilkin in the Minolta Toyota early in the race. Here is Wilkin, and here's Terry Moss on his tail in the second Rothmans Audi. Moss is the outgoing Super Touring champion, as he and Charles Wilkin have exchanged calling cards on a couple of occasions this season, and this little battle could lead to some big fireworks with lots of noise. These two, you never really know what's going to happen next. Now into the pits comes Marco De Santos, and this is the start of the compulsory pit stops. These stops are going to attract a great deal of attention overseas. From next year, the FIA have ruled that pit stops in all Touring Car and Super Touring Championships will be mandatory, and a little bit of history is in the making in the Bankman Touring Car Championship. This is the first time anywhere in the world that pit stops and tyre changes have been compulsory in a touring car race. It's a far cry from Formula 1 standards, but De Santos is in the pits as Aberdeen, Foss and Van der Linde go through, and before he stopped, Marco De Santos was behind the Van der Linde Sassel BMW. Continues up front, race cam action from the Foss BP Nissan Primera, and right behind him Sean van der Linde. If he had any mirrors left, Van der Linde would see a clear track behind him. Santos has disappeared because of his pit stop, and both Foss and Van der Linde still have to make their visit to the pits. The compulsory pit stop has been a talking point all week long, but it certainly adds a touch of something different to the Bankman Touring Car Series. De Villiers still leads, and this is the battle for second, third and fourth, with nothing between Aberdeen, Foss and Van der Linde. Wilkin and Moss have moved up the pecking order, and they are fifth and sixth, but all the cars in the first six still have to make their stops, remember? Then down the Caltex mine shaft through the Haviland Sweep and into the Vodacom Bowl, and this little battle could well be decided on just pit stops. Now the question is when and who goes first. Wilkin and Moss are still tied together, and this little scrap could also be decided in the pits. It's a bit like a chess game at this stage. Race cam action from the Duncan Foss BP Nissan Primera, and right behind him Sean van der Linde as they go through the AA kink. Now we're going to see someone make a pit stop. Yes, they both peel off into the pit row, and this is going to be very interesting, folks. Which team can get their driver out first? Terry Moss is also into the pits, but the battle of the mechanics will be between the Sassel BMW and BP Nissan teams. Foss was third and Van der Linde fourth, but is that going to change in the pits? Everyone was waiting with bated breath. It looks looks as though the BMW squad's in trouble. There's a clip or a stud that's a major problem, and Duncan Foss is ready to go. The Nissan team have got Foss out ahead of Van der Linde. This is turning into a disaster for the BMW team. Duncan Foss has been in and out. Terry Moss is also going to rejoin the race ahead of Van der Linde, who is fourth prior to his pit stop. So then, there goes Terry Moss, and Sean van der Linde has dropped at least 3 or 4 places. Van der Linde is fighting with Duncan Foss for second place in the championship, and that long pit stop has not done his cause any good whatsoever. An absolute disaster for the BMW team. Privateer Hein Latergan is also peeling off to make his stop, and they're coming in thick and fast now. Charles Wilkin is also in the pits in the Minolta Toyota Corolla, and they will want to get him out ahead of Terry Moss. These compulsory stops have certainly added a touch of the dramatic to this race. And some very interesting Michael Jackson footwork from the BMW mechanics waiting for Mike Briggs. Here is race leader Janil de Villiers, and are we going to see him come in for his tyre change? De Villiers had a big lead over Chris Aberdeen, who also still has to make his stop, and into the pits indeed comes the race leader. The Nissan pit crew will have done a tremendous job if they can get de Villiers out ahead of Aberdeen, but it's going to be a tight race. Nissan mechanics go to work, and they've decided to change the right front wheel, and through into the lead goes Chris Aberdeen in the Rothmans Audi. The last time an Audi won a Bankman touring car race was here at AA Kyalami back in September, but Aberdeen still has to make his pit stop. Janil de Villiers is ready to go, and that was a very competent stop by the Nissan pit crew. There's a 70km/h speed limit in the pit lane as Janil de Villiers rejoins the race in second place, with the BP Nissan Primera about 25 seconds behind Chris Aberdeen's Rothmans Audi. Aberdeen is probably going to lose more than that when he makes his compulsory stop, so matters are looking rosy for the new Bankman touring car champion Janil de Villiers and the BP Nissan team. De Villiers may be sitting in the pound seats, but the Rothmans Audi squad will be more than happy to see Aberdeen, and to a lesser extent Terry Moss, right on the pace. The Audis were still looking smooth and, like we were saying, setting the pace all the way through. Back in the Sassel BMW pit for the Briggs stop. Sean van der Linde's stop was something of a setback for the team, and again they look to have a problem. And race leader Chris Aberdeen is into the pits. Now, where is Janil de Villiers? Mike Briggs is on his way, but can the Audi crew get Aberdeen out ahead of de Villiers? It's a doubtful call. No, they won't. So then, let's have a look. Where is de Villiers? Now there's de Villiers, and he's on his way into the Pensor Curves as Chris Aberdeen leaves pit lane. As far as we can work out at this stage, with all the front runners having made their pit stops, Janil de Villiers leads from Chris Aberdeen, Charles Wilkin and Duncan Foss. Marco de Santos is fifth, and the leading privateer with a big fight going on between Wilkin and the Minolta Toyota, and Foss in the second BP Nissan Primera. That haberdashery going on into the pits comes Hilton Kai for his compulsory tyre change. This is Kai's second visit to the pits, and he's way down the pecking order now. The Caltex mineshaft, and Duncan Foss is making his move for third place. He's got the BP Nissan Primera perfectly positioned to go past Charles Wilkin at the Haviland sweep. It all looks so easy, and Wilkin is taking a very wide line for the Vodacom hairpin. Wilkin tried to get a slingshot out of the corner, but Foss has got the drop on him. And with Sean van der Linde way down at about 9th position, Foss is going to edge away from the Sassel BMW driver in the battle to see who finishes second to Janil de Villiers in the Drivers' Championship. Talking about him, here comes the new champion, and his 10th win of the season is going to equal the record of 10 touring car wins in a season held by two-time champion Mike Briggs. Chris Aberdeen finishes second, Duncan Foss third, and Charles Wilkin a very impressive fourth. But it's been Janil de Villiers' season, and this is going to be the BP Nissan team's 12th win in 17 outings. Can you believe it? Another terrific performance from de Villiers, and Audi will be delighted with second place for Chris Aberdeen. Good results too for privateers Marco de Santos and Nico van Rensburg, with the lone factory BMW in the top 10.
Yeah, I must say my team did a brilliant job here in the pit. We got in and out very quickly, and that helped us a hell of a lot in the end to build up a 12-second lead at one stage. So it was actually easy for me from the beginning. I was lucky there. I got a break in the beginning, and I just got my head down and tried to make as big a gap as possible.
Isn't that a bit like deja vu? A familiar sight with the two BP Nissan drivers on the podium, and a welcome return to form for Chris Aberdeen. But the big talking point is the pit stops and the problems the Sassel BMW team encountered in having to handle them.
Yeah, unfortunately we tested the pit stops in a dry situation, no heat, no race conditions. And during the race conditions, the safety clips seem to have expanded and caused a problem with insulation in the car. As a result, we lost quite a few seconds, but I'm sure we'll come back fighting for the second heat.
Bankman, the right deal for you.
The grid for round 18 and more deja vu. No surprises with the two factory Nissan Primeras on the front row. A terrific third for Privateer dos Santos, and alongside him the Biggs BMW. Row 3 Aberdeen, Audi and Van der Linde BMW. And row 4 old sparring partners Wilken and Moss. And row 5 Cowie and Wabashki. The final Bankman touring car race of the season at AA Kyalami, and it's 5 and 6 abreast on the dash to Penswell. And look at Charles Wilken, who's almost in the pit lane. De Villiers is sandwiched between Wilken and dos Santos. And would you believe it, but Charles Wilken has made a blind of a start, and the Minolta Toyota Corolla leads round 18 of the Bankman Touring Car Championship. What a start to his race. Wilken leads from Marco dos Santos. Sunil De Villiers is third, Briggs fourth, and then come the two Rothmans Audis. And from second on the grid, Duncan Foss has dropped back to seventh, with Garth Wabashki ahead of Sean van der Linde in the second Sasol BMW. Watch closely, this is Bankman Racing. You just never know what's going to happen next. The field storms into the Goodyear Sweep, and how long can Charles Wilken stay in front? What a turn up for the books as we go to race cam action from the Foss car, and the BP Nissan Primera is way down in 7th place. Behind Foss, it's Garth Wabashki in the DAW WAP Toyota, and he's pushed back to 9th as Sean van der Linde comes up with an orthodox passing move at Goodyear corner in the Sasol BMW for the lighter colour scheme of the two factory cars. Into the Rothmans S's, and from 2nd and 6th on the grid, Foss and van der Linde have lost out completely. Charles Wilken was 7th and is leading. A big moment for some